Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn as Gohan in future timeline. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name in the description below. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 21. The robber spat out a mouthful of blood. He could no longer feel any desire when he saw the pair of long legs in black silk stockings stepping on his chest. He said angrily, "Damn it, didn't you promise to let us go? You stinky woman, you don't keep your word." Humph. Videl put more force on her foot, and the robber felt difficulty breathing and almost fainted. Videl sneered and said, "Fools, I promised to let you go, but you are far away from the bank now, right? What's the problem if I catch you again?" The 6 robbers. Now this woman has a good reason. How can they refute her? There is no way to refute it. "Come, handcuff them all," Videl waved her hand and ordered. "Yes, Captain." Several policemen came out and handcuffed the 6 criminals. After taking down the robbers, they also collected the guns and the stolen money. "Take these scum back and let them face the law. See if they can be sentenced to a heavier punishment." "Execution would be best," Videl waved her hand. The robbers all struggled. Damn it, this woman actually wanted to sentence them to death? Videl's police responded and forced the 6 robbers into the police car. Several police cars roared away and returned to the East City police station. Videl also got into the jet and took off. As the plane rose, Videl vaguely saw a man sitting on the edge of the roof of a building hundreds of stories high next to her. A man. Am I concussed? Videl thought to herself, controlling the plane to float in the air, raised her hand to rub her eyes, and then looked up at the roof again. This time, she was sure that she was not mistaken. There was indeed a person sitting on the roof of the building. A tall man. He sat there, his legs hanging naturally on the edge of the building, looking down at the street below. What kind of courage is this? If he falls from there, let alone being smashed to pieces, he will directly turn into a mess. Is this person crazy? He dares to stand there without any safety measures. Seeking death? Or mentally ill? In short, falling from there will definitely kill him. Videl felt a chill in her heart and a chill on her back just thinking about it. How did he get up there? Did he take a plane? She couldn't just stand by and watch him die. While Videl was thinking about it, she saw the man on the roof looking at her. Videl controlled the plane to move closer. Then she stuck her head out and asked loudly, "What are you doing there? Are you here to see the scenery?" She originally wanted to ask Gohan if he wanted to commit suicide. But if she really asked like that, then if the other party really wanted to commit suicide, it would only arouse his emotions and accelerate his determination to die. So she swallowed the half-asked question back and changed it to whether he was here to see the scenery. Gohan looked at the beautiful policewoman on the plane, remembered how she had just violently subdued the gangsters, and said with a smile, "Well, yeah, I'm just enjoying the scenery. Officer, you don't have to worry about me. I know you are busy, just go and do your own thing." Videl looked him up and down. She found that the man in front of her was tall and strong, handsome, with a strong sense of self-confidence and very mysterious. His eyes were like 2 whirlpools, with an inexplicable attraction that wanted to pull people in. This was the first time Videl had met such a person in her life. How could a man like this think of committing suicide? So what he said should be true, right? Did he really just come to the roof to see the scenery? But a sense of responsibility drove Videl to say, "How did you get up here? The androids have been wiped out, and things will only get better in the future. This world is very big, and there are many places to go. We are still young and have many things to do. Can you go inside first? It's not safe there." Gohan looked at her and couldn't help laughing. After saying so much, "You don't think I want to commit suicide, do you?" Ha, ha, ha. Videl laughed awkwardly. "Then will you commit suicide?" "No, I said I'm just here to enjoy the scenery, Gohan said, retracting his legs that were hanging over the edge of the building and standing up. Looking at Gohan's actions, Videl felt goosebumps all over her body, and cold sweat ran down her back. At such a height, is he really not afraid at all? How can he be so calm? As long as there is just the slightest mistake, it will be over. This guy is so calm, he is too brave, it's simply terrifying. Her legs became weak just thinking about it, okay? Videl continued to ask, then did you come up by jet? Gohan shook his head, no, I flew up by myself. Ah, fly? Videl was stunned for a moment, thinking that Gohan was joking with her. People don't have wings, how can they fly? Wait for me. Videl said, controlling the jet to land on the top of the building, and then walked carefully towards Gohan. Gohan looked at her helplessly. He thought to himself that this woman was too stubborn. He said that he was not going to commit suicide, but she still came up. Are all the cells in her body a sense of justice? Such a strong sense of responsibility. Gohan admitted that the policewoman in front of him was quite pretty. Her proud figure was very eye-catching, and her face was also beautiful. Among the women he had seen, only Android 18 and Bulma were slightly better in appearance. But this woman had a heroic spirit and sense of justice that Bulma and Android 18 did not have. Especially the pair of long legs matched with the uniform, it was a plus. It can be said that she is a super beauty. Gohan admired it very much, but it was just admiration. He was not the kind of cerebral palsy with sperm on his brain. If he was the kind of animal who thought with his lower body, the end of Android 18 would not be as simple as being shot in the head. It was not until she got close to Gohan that Videl felt the strong visual impact. She was only 157 centimeters tall and weighed 47 kilograms. She looked tall because of her long legs and golden ratio figure. But Gohan was 186 centimeters tall and weighed 75 kilograms. He had a top model-like figure, with a muscular body, and looked full of explosive power. In such a comparison, the two formed a strong contrast. It's just that Videl had seen giants who were much taller than Gohan. There were humans who were 2 or 3 meters tall in this world. Some humanoids were even 5 or 6 meters tall. It's just that this was the first time she had seen someone as tall and handsome as Gohan. This simply touched her heart. Then, the furry tail behind Gohan suddenly popped out. Videl was stunned for a moment. Then her heart was pounding, and both eyes turned into hearts. Good, so cute, I want to touch it. Videl's mind was racing. Then she blurted out subconsciously, can I touch your tail? Only after she said that did she realize how rude she was, and her face became hot. What the hell did she just say? She couldn't believe she said that. But she really wanted to touch the furry tail. Oh my god, isn't this much more comfortable than petting a cat or a dog? Which girl can resist such temptation? If it weren't for his sharp ears, Gohan would have thought he had misheard and decisively refused. Sorry, I can't allow that. Ahem, I am sorry for my impoliteness. In short, just don't think about suicide. Life is still long, there are still many meaningful things to do, and there are many people who worry about you and miss you. Don't think too much. He. Gohan looked at the woman in front of him with interest and said, what you said makes sense, but I still want to make it clear that I really don't want to commit suicide, I'm just here to enjoy the scenery. Videl smiled and said, that's good, then when are you going down? You have a jet plane, right? Gohan shook his head and said, I don't have a jet plane. I just said that I flew up here by myself. I can fly down whenever I want. Videl was speechless. She felt that Gohan's mental state was definitely a little abnormal. He is a good-looking man. What a pity. Videl said, okay, you can fly, you flew up here by yourself, so will you take my jet plane down now? Let me introduce myself first. My name is Videl, and I am the captain of the first team of the East City Police Department. You can trust me. I will never hurt you. Gohan said speechlessly, you just don't believe me, right? Well, now I will let you have a good experience. Gohan said. White aura came out of his body and he flew into the air. Wait, what's your name? Gohan was floating in the air, staring at the equally stunned Pretty. Chapter 22. Videl. Videl looked up at Gohan in a daze. Gohan stared at the woman below in amazement. He didn't expect that Videl in this timeline would become a police officer. The contrast was too strong. Same name? Almost impossible. After knowing her name, that face looked more and more familiar. Who else could it be but that Videl? Gohan fell into a brief silence. He stood high in the sky and stared at Videl for a while without saying a word. No one knew what he was thinking. And Videl was shocked that Gohan could actually fly. How could a human fly? Before this, if someone told her that a human without wings could fly, she would definitely sneer and laugh. But now the facts are in front of her, constantly impacting her worldview. Is this magic? Videl still couldn't believe it. No, this is called Bokujutsu. Gohan flew around the rooftop and then landed again and said, Bokujutsu? What is that? Videl didn't understand. It is a kind of martial arts, Gohan said. Martial arts? How could there be such a martial art? Impossible. Videl retorted. She herself is a martial artist with good martial arts attainments, otherwise she would not have been able to take the position of captain of the first team of the East City Police Department. Her father, Mr. Satan, was the champion of the world's #1 martial arts tournament a long time ago. In her opinion, she understood martial arts. And there is absolutely no martial art that can fly. Gohan said, don't use your knowledge to understand the world. As you said, the world is very big, and the earth is actually just a drop in the ocean. Of course there is a martial art that can let people fly, it's just a way to use ki. Listening to Gohan's words, Videl fell silent. As Gohan said, this world is vast and boundless, with too many magical and inexplicable things. Not to mention the distant ones. The androids that have been wreaking havoc on the Earth for more than 10 years are one of the technological creations that she cannot understand. They are obviously just two tiny technological people, why can they have such a destructive power? She had seen reports about androids on TV. Those two androids can spray out energy attacks like rocket launchers in their hands. That kind of energy attack can flatten a large city in an instant, which is very terrifying. Thinking of the androids, Videl's heart is filled with deep sadness. A few years ago, her father, Mr. Satan, the champion of the world's #1 martial arts tournament, did not believe that the androids were really that powerful. He always thought it was magic and a trick to deceive humans. So he decided to teach the two androids a lesson. The result is imaginable. Mr. Satan never returned and was killed by the androids. It's so miserable. Looking at Videl, who was silenced by him, Gohan said, okay, you should be busy. I'm leaving now. Ah. After hearing what Gohan said, Videl came back to her senses. Wait a moment, she said hurriedly. What's wrong? Gohan asked in confusion. Videl hesitated and said, can you teach me how to fly? I want to learn this. Thinking of how she had just stopped the plane to persuade him when she was sure that he was going to commit suicide, Gohan nodded and said, okay, come to the West City Capsule Corporation to find me at this time tomorrow. Gohan said and flew up. What's your name? Videl shouted. Gohan. Gohan's voice came from afar, and his figure had turned into a meteor and pierced into the distance. How fast? Videl stared at the direction where Gohan disappeared, and couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. What she saw and heard today was too bizarre, and it completely overturned her worldview of 21 years. And this man named Gohan actually promised her to teach her the so-called flying technique. Happy, too happy. Videl couldn't help but look forward to it. Thinking that she would be able to come into contact with flying martial arts tomorrow, her heart couldn't calm down. Then, Videl carefully walked to the edge of the building, stretched her neck and looked down. Hiss, it was too scary. Videl felt dizzy and her legs weak. She stepped back and returned to the jet plane with a look of fear on her face. She rested for a while, and then drove the plane away. On the other side, Gohan's aura was gushing out, and he was so fast that he produced a sonic boom, and he was moving quickly through the clouds. Soon, he came to the sky above Mount Paozu and landed. Gohan pushed open the door and walked into the familiar house. Looking at everything familiar around him, he sighed helplessly, and a faint sadness flashed in his eyes. This place is really too familiar. This house almost carries his entire childhood. Dad, Mom, Ox King Grandpa. Everything seems to be a memory from a long time ago, but it seems to have happened yesterday. Sometimes it even feels like they are still by his side and have never left. That feeling is indescribable but precious. Gohan sat on the sofa for a long time, then pushed the door out. He walked more than 100 meters along the mountain road to Mount Paozu, and then stood in front of two graves. These two graves are the graves of Chi-Chi and Ox King. Gohan took out a capsule, pressed it, and threw it on the ground. Then 2 handfuls of white chrysanthemums, some fruits, and some sacrificial offerings appeared out of thin air on the ground. Gohan carefully placed these things in front of the grave and then sat down on the open space in front of the grave. Mom, Grandpa, I'm here to see you. I'm fine now, don't worry about me. I have killed the androids, which is my revenge for you. Gohan sat there, talking to himself for a long time. Ox King and Chi-Chi died during the days when he was in a coma after his arm was gone. The time of death was just over a year, so this time Shenron was unable to revive them. No one knew whether the two of them were in the underworld or had been reincarnated. Gohan thought about taking some time to go to the underworld to ask King Yama. If there was a way to resurrect them, it would be even better. After sitting in front of the grave for a while, Gohan got up and flew back to the Capsule Corporation. He told Bulma that Trunks will not be back for a few days, and Bulma nodded without saying anything and buried her head in her research. The next day, a jet plane descended from the sky and landed at the door of the Capsule Corporation. Videl jumped off the plane, then turned the plane into a capsule and put it in her pocket, then looked around and took in the surrounding environment. Videl was obviously dressed up today. Her black hair was tied into 2 ponytails, hanging naturally along her shoulders, and her face was painted with light and delicate makeup. She was not wearing a police uniform today. She wore a white tight shirt on her upper body and slim leggings on her lower body. The white shirt was tucked into her jeans, highlighting her proud figure and slender legs. She wore a pair of white shoes on her feet. She was going for a casual style. The Capsule Corporation is famous all over the world, and almost no one on Earth does not know its name. Although after the incident of the androids, the Capsule Corporation suffered heavy losses and no longer has the glory of the past. Now there are not even any employees. But even so, who among the surviving humans does not have a few capsules on their bodies? She can say that the Capsule Corporation has declined and is no longer as glorious as it was in the past, but she cannot deny the influence of the Capsule Corporation and its contribution to the world. The Capsule Corporation is a unique existence on the Earth and is an absolute T0 level enterprise. No matter who comes, it cannot shake its position on the Earth. Videl looked at the Capsule Corporation, wondering in her heart what the relationship between Gohan and the Capsule Corporation was. Just when she was worrying about how to find Gohan, Bulma also stopped at the door of the Capsule Corporation on a motorcycle. Chapter 23. Isn't that Miss Bulma from the Capsule Corps? Seeing Bulma, Videl recognized her immediately. Videl was still connected to the internet. Of course, she knew celebrities like Bulma. Although Bulma was already in her 40s, she was well maintained and looked like a 30-year-old sister. Videl took a deep breath and walked towards Bulma. She greeted, "Hello, Miss Bulma." "Hello." Bulma looked at Videl carefully and confirmed that she didn't know her, then continued, "How can I help you?" Videl answered truthfully, "It's like this, Gohan asked me to come here to find him." "Does Gohan live here?" "Gohan?" Bulma's eyes lit up, and she looked at Videl carefully again, her expression gradually becoming more vivid. Yes, yes, you are Gohan's girlfriend, right? I didn't expect this guy to be so secretive, come in first. Bulma walked over enthusiastically, held Vidal's arm, and pulled her into the house. Vidal staggered into the house and kept explaining, Miss Bulma, I think you misunderstood. I'm not Gohan's girlfriend, but Gohan promised to teach me martial arts, so I came here to find him. I understand. I understand. Don't call me Miss Bulma anymore. Gohan calls me Auntie. You can do as Gohan calls me. Bulma laughed and stuffed Vidal into the sofa. Wait a minute, I'll go call Gohan, he should be practicing martial arts in the gravity room, Bulma said. Okay. Vidal was confused by her enthusiasm. Miss Bulma didn't seem to be as cold as the legend said. Not only was she not cold, she was also very enthusiastic. It didn't match the rumor at all. Under Vidal's gaze, Bulma left in a hurry but came back more than a minute later. She sat next to Vidal and said, Gohan was indeed practicing just now. I have told him that you are here. He is going to take a shower now and should be out in a while. Vidal supported her hands on her legs and sat up straight. Facing the legendary president of Capsule Corp, she couldn't help but feel a little nervous. After all, for an ordinary Earthling, Bulma's halo is too big. Okay, I'll wait here. Vidal said. Bulma said, you don't have to be too nervous. I'm not a strict parent. Let's just chat casually and just treat me as a friend. Yes, Miss Bulma. Vidal agreed, but she was still very restrained. Hey, look, I told you to follow Gohan and call me Auntie, why are you still calling me like that? Bulma said dissatisfiedly. Okay, Aunt Bulma. Well, that's right. Come, eat some fruit first. Thank you. The two of them start. Ed chatting on the sofa. Bulma began to praise Gohan. I have watched Gohan grow up since he was a child. His family and I are old friends and we have a very good relationship. Gohan has been very smart since he was a child. He learns things very quickly. He is a very good boy. It is no problem to say that he is the best on earth. Vidal's head was buzzing, and she felt very uncomfortable. Bulma continued, by the way, I haven't asked you your name yet. What's your name? Vidal stood up suddenly, her body straight, and she was almost saluting. My name is Vidal, I am from East City, and I am currently working at the East City Police Department. I was born in 757 AI, and I have never been in a relationship. Please give me some advice, Auntie. Well. Bulma was stunned by Vidal's operation. Look how nervous the child was. After 2 seconds, Bulma said, sit down quickly, don't stand, let's talk. Vidal had to sit back down. I didn't know you were a police officer. Police officers are good, not bad. 757, isn't this a coincidence? Gohan was also born in 757. Vidal didn't expect that Gohan is the same age as her, and was surprised and said, really? That's too coincidental. So you should communicate more, so that you can enhance your relationship. Just then, Gohan, wearing casual clothes, walked in from outside. Vidal, let's go. He clenched his right fist and pointed his thumb toward the door. Okay. Vidal quickly stood up. She said to Bulma, Aunt Bulma, I'm going to leave first. Let's talk next time when we have time. Well, okay, you young people go on a date. Bulma responded, and turned to Gohan and said, Gohan, don't bully her. Got it. Gohan said helplessly. Vidal followed Gohan with a blushing face. The two came to the back garden of the Capsule Corporation. Let's go here. Gohan pointed to a green lawn. Yes, okay. Vidal nodded. The two stepped onto the lawn. Sit down cross-legged. Gohan pointed to the seat opposite him. Vidal was wearing leggings today, so it was no problem for her to sit cross-legged. Vidal nodded and obediently sat down opposite Gohan, looking well-behaved. She looked at Gohan's face carefully and asked curiously, Gohan, are you really born in 757? Yes, that's right, is there any problem? Gohan said. No, Aunt Bulma said you were born in the year 757, so I was a little curious, because I was also born in the year 757. I was born on May 9th, when is your birthday? Gohan. Can't you tell me? Videl asked. Gohan didn't know whether to laugh or cry and said, You weren't like this in front of Aunt Bulma just now, were you? Aren't you afraid of me? Videl smiled and said, Because she is the elder, you and I are the same age, so naturally there is no sense of restraint. So when is your birthday? May 8th, Gohan said helplessly. Ah, really? Videl's eyes widened. Why would I lie to you? Gohan said. You are only 1 day older than me, what a coincidence. Videl said happily, smiling like a flower. Why did you come to see me today? Gohan frowned and asked deliberately. I'm here to learn the flying technique from you. We agreed on that yesterday. Videl said. Gohan said, So what are you doing now? Videl pouted and said, Gossiping. Okay, I was wrong. I won't ask anymore. Please, Gohan, teach me the flying technique. Well, then don't talk for now. Gohan said calmly. Videl. This was not the first time that Gohan was a teacher. He had taught Trunks for more than 10 years and was very experienced. He sorted out his thoughts and said, To learn the Bokujutsu, you must first learn how to use your own ki. Once you learn how to control the ki in your body, the Bokujutsu will come naturally. Ki? What is that? If I don't have ki, will I be unable to learn Bokujutsu? Videl asked nervously. Don't worry, everyone has ki in their body, they just don't know how to use it. The so-called ki is a kind of energy in our body. It is difficult for ordinary people to develop it, but it is much easier for us martial artists. We can easily sense the ki, control the ki, and then use the ki. I know you have learned martial arts, so it is not difficult to master the ki. Gohan talked freely, and told Videl a lot of knowledge that she didn't quite understand. Videl felt like she was listening to a foreign language. Watch carefully, Gohan said, stretching out his right hand in front of him, palm facing the sky, holding it in the air. Videl stared at his hand intently. At this moment, a cyclone rose from the palm of Gohan's hand, flashing with cold light, and a round energy ball was generated in his palm. What is this? Videl's eyes almost popped out. Gohan said, This is ki. As he spoke, Gohan raised his hand and swung it. The energy attack flew out and hit a huge rock in the distance. With a loud bang, the huge rock was instantly blown into powder. The strong wind blew Videl's long hair up. I really have this thing in my body? Videl was numb. Chapter 24. Of course you do, but the ki in your body is only weak. Remember, ki can be strengthened through practice, Gohan explained. It looks similar to the methods used by the androids, Videl said. Gohan said, The androids are technological creations, while ki is the energy that each of us has in our bodies. Although they have different paths to the same goal, they cannot be confused. If we want to learn how to use ki, the first step is to sense the ki in our body and then guide it out. What should I do? Videl asked. Gohan looked at her, explained carefully, and demonstrated it again. First relax, calm down, concentrate, and imagine guiding the energy to your palms, like this. Gohan said, holding his hands in front of him. Slowly guiding a breath out. Suddenly, a cyclone formed between his palms, and the cyclone quickly transformed into a fluorescent energy ball. It's amazing, Videl sighed in her heart, then closed her eyes, held her hands in front of her like Gohan, and began to sense the energy. Gohan observed her movements and gave her instructions. Keep your mind calm, concentrate, and relax instead of exerting yourself. Hearing what Gohan said, Videl's frown gradually relaxed. It can be seen that Videl's martial arts foundation is very good, and she quickly got into the state. But it is not so easy to sense the ki. Seeing Videl in meditation, Gohan practiced boxing on the side. This set of boxing moves is a combination of hardness and softness, natural and coherent, and it is exactly the Tai Chi that he learned in his previous life. Tai Chi naturally cannot produce any earth-shattering effects, but practicing it in your spare time can make your whole body feel comfortable and have endless aftertaste. 2 hours passed quickly. Videl slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Gohan, who was sitting beside her, and said, "It's so difficult. I haven't sensed my own ki yet." Gohan said, "Don't worry too much. Everything is difficult at the beginning. As long as you persist, you will definitely succeed." "Well, I hope so, but that's all I can do today. I have to go back to the police station to deal with things," Videl said. "Okay," Gohan nodded. Videl continued, "Can I come tomorrow?" Gohan said, "Yes. Thank you for your help, Gohan-kun." Videl stood up and bowed to Gohan. Gohan accepted it calmly. At this moment, Videl's phone rang. Videl answered the phone. "Hello, what? Okay, I see. I'll go back now." After answering the phone, Videl became anxious and frowned deeply. Gohan saw her uneasiness and asked, "What's wrong?" Videl said, "There was a violent incident in East City just now. A bunch of criminals have slaughtered dozens of people. The death toll is still increasing. My team members have already rushed to the front line. At the speed of a jet plane, it would take me at least an hour to get back. It's too long. I don't know how many more people died because of this. I have to go back immediately." Videl said, taking out the capsule and throwing it on the ground. Boom, the sound of her jet plane echoed. "Oh." Gohan frowned and looked towards the direction of East City. Then he said, "Excuse me for being blunt, but this is probably not a case you can handle." Countless powerful ki came from the direction of East City. The aura was so strong that Videl could not match it at all. Such an aura, is it from an alien? In short, there can't be such strong people on Earth, so it can only be a visitor from the universe. It's just that Gohan didn't know when these aliens appeared, and he didn't even notice it. After all, it's impossible for Gohan to use his ki to sense the entire Earth 24 hours a day. Videl looked at him in surprise and said, "Why do you say I can't handle it?" Gohan said, "Because I can sense the ki of those people, they are not something you can deal with." "You can sense them from such a distance?" Videl was amazed. "Well, you will understand when you learn how to use your ki," Gohan said. Videl thought for a while and said firmly, "I have to go back no matter what. All my teammates are on the front line. How can I hide behind? How can I face everyone in the future? Gohan-kun, I won't talk to you anymore. I have to go." Seeing Videl hurriedly climbing onto the plane, Gohan sighed and said, "The plane is too slow. Come down. I'll take you there." It was impossible to rely on the power of the Earthling to deal with these aliens, so Gohan decided to take action. The current piece was something he had won from the androids with great difficulty, and he would never allow anyone to destroy it again. Videl, who was about to close the plane door, was stunned for a moment and said, "You mean you're faster than a jet plane?" Gohan nodded and said, "Yeah, a little faster." "Ah, that's great." Videl immediately ran down the plane, turned the plane into a capsule again and put it away. She ran to Gohan and asked anxiously, "What should we do now?" Gohan squatted down in front of her and said, "Come up quickly." "Ah. Carry me on your back?" Videl's face flushed with shame. Although she was a little shy, this was not the time to worry about such trivial matters. She jumped onto Gohan's back, put her arms around his neck, and wrapped her legs around his waist. Gohan felt the warm and soft person sticking to him all of a sudden, and without thinking much, he reminded her, "Hold on tight." "Yes, I've got it firmly in my hand," Videl replied. Then, Gohan held Videl's two long legs with both hands, and a silver wave of air burst out of his body. Then, the two of them soared into the sky and turned into a meteor and rushed towards the direction of East City. Ah! Videl's courage was about to burst with fear. Is this just a little faster than a jet plane? This has produced a sonic boom, it has long exceeded the speed of sound. Horrible, too horrible. Humans can actually do such a thing, Videl would never have believed it in the past. The flying speed is as fast as lightning. Fortunately, the ki of Gohan enveloped her and formed a layer of protective shield. Otherwise, with Videl's ordinary body, the strong wind like a knife could scrape her all over. Listening to the whistling wind and the sonic boom in her ears, Videl's little heart was greatly shocked. In such tension, she had long forgotten to be shy. The whole person pressed tightly behind Gohan, wishing that the two could merge into one. At the same time, she kept guessing about Gohan's identity, wondering what kind of person Gohan was, and her curiosity about Gohan reached its peak. At lightning speed, the two soon arrived at the East capital. Suddenly stopping, Gohan stood high in the sky with Videl on his back, overlooking the city below. At this moment, several aliens in strange combat uniforms were using energy attacks in their palms, ruthlessly killing one Earthling after another. In the city, thick smoke was everywhere, police cars were shuttling everywhere, and police were everywhere directing humans to evacuate. At this moment, boom! Another explosion sounded. Thick smoke and heat waves burst out, and a building disintegrated directly in the explosion, killing countless people on Earth. Gohan looked down at the ground and said to Videl, "Did you see that? This is not a battle you can participate in at all." Videl looked at the tragic scene on the street, her face turned pale, but she was very angry. She gritted her teeth and said, "Where did these people come from? Their methods are exactly the same as those of the previous androids. These bastards are really unforgivable." Gohan squinted his eyes and looked at the aliens and said, "They are not from Earth, they should be aliens." Aliens? Aliens? Videl was stunned. "Yes, that's right." Gohan nodded, then raised his hand and pointed. A beam of energy burst out from his fingertips and shot towards an alien on the ground who was about to cause another big explosion. The alien was laughing when he was hit by the energy beam and turned into powder with a bang. Gohan pointed a few more times, and several more aliens exploded and turned into ashes in an instant. Videl watched all this in amazement, and her worldview shattered. It didn't feel real at all. "You're so awesome," Videl said in shock. She then remembered something and continued, "You are the one that eliminated those two androids, right?" She should have thought of it long ago. The news of the androids' elimination was revealed to the Earth by the Capsule Corporation. Gohan lives in the Capsule Corporation. And his identity is very mysterious, and he has the ability to fly. All the signs point to Gohan. Who else could it be but him? Gohan did not deny it, and said directly, "It's me." Then he said, "You find a place to hide first, I'm going to get rid of the remaining aliens now." Gohan sent Videl to a safer place nearby to hide, then turned back to the battlefield, punching those space thugs one by one. He grabbed the only remaining alien and asked coldly, "Where are you from?" Chapter 25. The alien turned pale and peed his pants. In his opinion, Gohan was too scary. All his companions were killed by Gohan with one punch, without any fancy moves. The punch was clean and neat. How could he compete with such a person? He stuttered, his mind was blank, and he didn't know how to answer Gohan's words. "Tell me, if the answer satisfies me, maybe I can let you go," Gohan said. "Speak." The alien's legs were shaking, and his crotch was soaked with urine, emitting a foul smell. Gohan pinched his nose helplessly, listening to his story and constant begging for mercy. According to him, he belonged to the Bojack Corps and was the vanguard of the Bojack Corps, responsible for searching and exploring planets with life. After they came to Earth a few days ago, they began to collect relevant information about the Earth. At the beginning, they found that the Earth was a low-level planet, and the humans living on it were weaklings with a combat power of only 5. This kind of planet is generally scarce in resources and has no great exploration value. But yesterday, they learned about Dragon Balls from a certain Earthling. Dragon Balls that can fulfill any wish. The Dragon Balls are undoubtedly very tempting to the aliens. This is the most tempting treasure. Therefore, the valuation of the Earth has been infinitely raised. The vanguard troops reported the relevant matters of the Dragon Balls as soon as possible. Their leader Bojack replied to them that they should try their best to collect the Dragon Balls. Those who collect the Dragon Balls will be rewarded greatly. The vanguard troops who received the order began to interrogate the Earthlings about the Dragon Balls. But the Earthlings didn't know much. Not to mention the methods of collecting Dragon Balls. The aliens who didn't get the answers they wanted began an inhumane slaughter. They tried to use this method to force the Earthlings to tell them where the Dragon Balls are. The result can be imagined. Gohan. There is a sentence that he doesn't know whether he should say or not. Dragon Ball is the reason for many good and bad outcomes that face the Earth. He doesn't know which Earthling was so talkative and said such things about Dragon Ball. Maybe he should make a wish to downplay the presence of Dragon Ball in the future. But who is this Bojack? Gohan searched his brain and couldn't remember that there was such a character in the Dragon Ball world. But he also understood. Because from the moment he was reborn, the wheel of history has deviated and headed for a completely new track. Gohan stared at the alien in front of him and said coldly, "How strong is Bojack? And when will he arrive on Earth?" Speaking of Bojack, the alien's eyes lit up and he thought of a hope of survival. He said, "King Bojack is very powerful. You can never be his opponent. Why don't we join forces, work together, and maybe there is still a chance of winning? How about it? Think about it? This may be the only way." Gohan said, "I asked you when he will arrive." The alien said, "At the speed of the king's spaceship, he will arrive on Earth in about 10 hours. We don't have much time. You have to think carefully. Our cooperation is the only chance. We really don't have much time." He repeated the sentence. "Oh, really?" Gohan laughed and said, "What you said does make sense. I'll listen to you and let's cooperate." "I was right, you are indeed a smart man," the alien also laughed. "It seems that his life has been saved. Right? He. Gohan smiled, and the key at his fingertips suddenly burst out, smashing the alien's head in one go. The alien never figured out why Gohan, who was talking so well a second ago, suddenly changed his attitude and attacked. Gohan kicked the alien's body away, and then slapped him with his palm, turning him into a bloody mist. The alien turned into ashes and disappeared into the air. "Did he think I am a chum?" Gohan complained, then flew up and came to where Videl was hiding and found Videl. Videl looked at Gohan in surprise and said, "Is it done?" This speed was too fast. She only heard the sound of explosions. Gohan nodded and said, "Well, it's safe for the time being." "Temporarily safe? What does that mean?" Videl was puzzled. "Aren't all the aliens dealt with?" Gohan said, "I won't hide it from you, because tomorrow there will be more terrifying aliens coming to Earth." "Ah, really? What should we do then?" Videl became nervous again. Gohan said, "Tomorrow my companions and I will take action. If we win, everything will be safe. If we lose, the Earth will return to the time when it was dominated by androids. Well, it may be even worse." Videl's face turned pale. She said, "Is there any other way? Even if we use all the military power of the entire Earth, can't we deal with tomorrow's enemy?" Gohan said, "No. Let me tell you this, if I want to destroy the Earth, I only need one attack. The power of the Earthlings is too small. Even the strongest nuclear attack recognized by the Earth is like scraping, without any effect in the eyes of us. With careful precautions, even a nuclear bomb can't hurt me at all." Gohan's words shocked Videl to the point of being speechless. It was the first time she knew that human power could reach this level. It was also the first time she knew that the Gohan in front of her was so terrifying. According to Gohan, the degree of danger of tomorrow's enemies is unknown. But one thing is certain, they can easily destroy the entire Earth. How to resolve such a crisis? Can they really only rely on Gohan? Can the people on Earth just sit and wait for death? Vidal's mind was in a mess. She just stood there in a daze, not knowing what to say for a moment. Just as Gohan said, the power of the Earth is too small. It is impossible to influence the situation of the war. The more than 10 years of android chaos are the best proof. Under the absolute power, the power of the kingdom is like the light of a firefly. Humble, weak, and helpless. Looking at her, Gohan said, "Okay, I should go too. Goodbye." Gohan. Vidal suddenly called his name. What's wrong? Gohan, who was about to soar into the sky, turned around. Vidal said, "Be careful tomorrow. I still want to learn the flying technique from you." "Yeah, okay." Gohan nodded, soared into the sky, and flew to the lookout. He wanted to see how Trunks was doing, and also to ask King Kai of the North who Bojack was. It was better to know the situation of the opponent than to be in the dark. At this moment, the voice of King Kai of the North sounded in Gohan's mind. "Gohan, Gohan, are you listening? I am King Kai of the North." Gohan was a little surprised. King Kai of the North actually contacted him on his own initiative? This is simply magical. The androids have been causing trouble for more than 10 years, but King Kai of the North has never contacted him. What is the situation now? Gohan stopped, stood on the clouds, and responded, "Lord King Kai, I'm here." King Kai of the North's voice sounded again, "It's like this, Gohan, I'll make it short here. There is a scary guy approaching the Earth now, and it is expected to arrive on the Earth tomorrow. You have to be prepared to fight." Gohan was a little surprised. King Kai of the North took the initiative to talk about this before he asked. It seems that the identity of this Bojack is very problematic. He is definitely not a small character. Otherwise, King Kai of the North would not be so nervous. Gohan said, "If Lord King Kai is talking about Bojack, I have already met with his vanguard troops." King Kai of the North was surprised, "It's Bojack, I didn't expect you to know it already." Gohan said, "I have wiped out all his vanguard troops." "King Kai, I want to ask what the origins of this Bojack are?" King Kai was silent for a moment, lost in memories, and then he continued. "Speaking of Bojack, this is a name from a long time ago. About 1,000 years ago, a huge evil force appeared in the Milky Way. This force did all kinds of evil and their goal was to destroy the 4 galaxies. At that time, the evil forces led by Bojack were very powerful and invincible. Wherever they passed, countless living planets were turned into dead stars under their hands. Almost no one in the 4 galaxies could be their opponent. The Milky Way is facing a huge disaster and is in danger. Later, the great King Kai taught us 4 King Kai a way to seal him. We, the 4 kings of the 4 galaxies, joined forces and finally sealed Bojack at the end of the universe. Peace was finally restored in the 4 galaxies. More than 1,000 years have passed. But not long ago, the king of South Kai was killed by an ambitious guy. After the death of South King Kai, the seal we jointly set up back then could no longer be maintained, and Bojack broke the seal and wreaked havoc on the galaxy again. The South King Kai was actually killed? It was really shocking. Chapter 26. More than 1,000 years have passed, but King Kai of the North still remembers it clearly and is still a little scared when he mentions Bojack's name. This shows how much psychological trauma Bojack brought to King Kai of the North. Gohan said, "Lord King Kai, do you have anything else to explain?" King Kai of the North said, "No, nothing more." Gohan asked again, "Lord King Kai, who killed King Kai of the South?" King Kai of the North said, "I don't know, we haven't found out yet. How can they not investigate? What are the King Kais doing?" Gohan said, "Okay, is my father and the others there now? I want to talk to them." "They are not here." The North King shook his head. "Not there? Where did they go this time?" Gohan was very curious. The last time he contacted King Kai of the North, Goku and the others went to the great King Kai's planet to participate in a martial arts tournament. Where did they go this time? Why are they never in the North King Kai's planet? They always seem very busy. King Kai of the North said, there was a riot in the underworld, and Goku and the others went to the underworld to support. Gohan was stunned. A riot in the underworld? What the hell is this? He asked, what's going on? A riot in the underworld? King Kai of the North replied, it's like this. Originally, the 18th layers of hell were divided between Frieza and Vegeta. They have been living in peace and tranquility for all these years. There hasn't been any large-scale war for a long time. However, since androids 17 and 18 were thrown into the 18th level of hell, the delicate balance of hell has been disrupted, and the three forces are fighting each other. The entire underworld is in chaos right now. Half a month ago, King Yama asked for help, and Goku and his companions went there and have never returned since then. Gohan felt a headache after hearing this. These people are full of energy. They kept fighting when they were human beings, and they kept fighting when they died. The endless battle is impossible not to admire. Gohan only now knows that after Vegeta died, he was sent to the 18th level of hell instead of living with Son Goku and the others. But think about it, this makes sense. Vegeta in this timeline has killed people like crazy and has not made any substantial contribution to the Earth. It is normal for King Yama to send him to hell. Those guys can fight as much as they want. Gohan cut off the connection with King Kai of the North and flew to the lookout. In the lookout, Dend was casting one magic after another on Trunks, making Trunks' face red. Gohan was stunned. What Dend's so-called method is to cast magic on Trunks like this? He didn't know if it was recovery magic or healing magic. Trunks was so happy that he looked like he had just had a health check. Seeing Gohan coming, Dend stopped casting magic. He wiped the sweat from his forehead, smiled, and greeted Gohan. Trunks also said in high spirits, "Brother Gohan, why are you here? I feel full of strength now." Gohan laughed and said, "Ha, did you overdo it? How is it, is there any movement in the tail?" Trunks said, "My butt is a little itchy." "That means it is still somewhat effective," Gohan said with a smile. At this time, Mr. Popo, who had been standing on the edge of the lookout, came over. Mr. Popo asked, "Mr. Gohan, what happened on Earth?" Popo saw the aliens wreaking havoc in the eastern capital from the lookout, but he didn't know what happened specifically. Gohan frowned and talked seriously about Bojack. Popo, Dend, and Trunks all looked serious after listening. Dend said, "Gohan, what are you going to do?" Gohan sneered, "When the enemy comes, we will stop them. We will make sure they have no way back. When they get close to the Earth, we will give them gifts." Trunks said excitedly, "Brother Gohan, you have a good idea, don't you?" Gohan chuckled and said, "When their spaceship gets close to the Earth, I plan to take the initiative and reward them with a few key attacks. It would be best if I could destroy their spaceship with the people in the ship. Why should we wait until they successfully land before officially starting the war?" He. "Brother Gohan, you are so insidious," Trunks laughed. "No, this is called tactics," Gohan said with a smile. Ha ha ha. Destroy their spaceship. Even if they don't die, they will be injured. Then we will rush over and catch them off guard. Trunks said, "Yes, let them know that our Earth is not so easy to bully." Mr. Popo and Dend also felt that Gohan had no martial arts spirit, but they agreed with this approach. Others have come to invade their planet, and they still talk to them about martial arts spirit? The next day, a giant spaceship slowly approached the Earth. On the spaceship, 4 men and 1 woman gathered in front of a huge screen and had an intense discussion. The 5 people were all excited, discussing things about Dragon Ball. They were the galactic thug Bojack and his 4 capable men. Bojack, Zanya, Kogo, Bujin, and Baido. The 5 of them came from a planet called Hera. Orange hair and aqua blue skin are their trademarks. Among the 5, Bojack and Baido are the tallest. They are over 2 meters and 5 meters tall, with bulging muscles all over their bodies, and their weight is definitely over 150 kilograms. Kogu is a little smaller than the 2 of them, but he is also 2 meters tall. He wears a purple turban on his head and carries a big sword behind him. He is a master of swordsmanship and is also the most handsome of the four men. Bojack's most trusted confidant is Zanya, the only woman in the team. Zanya has a slim and graceful figure, with amazing chest curves, deep ravines, gorgeous orange waves, beautiful eyes, and a perfect height of 170 centimeters. Her aqua blue skin adds an exotic beauty. Although she is also tall, she looks like a little bird standing next to the other three men, like a loli. The shortest person in the team is Bujin. Although Bujin is a man, he is short, only about 1.5 meters tall. He is physically weak, but he has amazing magic. All of these 5 people are powerful. Even Frisia back then could never be a match for any of them. How could the pirates who traveled across the 4 galaxies thousands of years ago be just famous for nothing? Koga looked at Bojack, who was sitting high in the main seat, and said, "My king, if you collect all 7 Dragon Balls, have you thought about what wish you would make?" Bojack laughed and said to his 4 subordinates, "Ha, of course I have thought about it." Bujin said, "Then what wish do you want to make, my king?" Bojack picked up the red wine glass on the table, raised his head, and drank it all, then said, "Although the 5 of us have a long life, we have been sealed by those 4 old guys for more than 1,000 years. After being unsealed, I feel that my physical strength is no longer as good as before. How can this be possible? This is not possible. Our dream has not yet been realized. It will take a long time to destroy the 4 galaxies. So I want to make a wish to the dragon to give us 5 people eternal immortality. As long as we have immortal life, these 4 galaxies, no, this entire universe, will be destroyed in our hands one day, ha." "Your Majesty is wise, your Majesty is mighty and invincible," Bujin flattered him. Bojack glanced at him with a crooked mouth, then looked at Zanya and ordered, "Zanya, contact the vanguard troops on Earth and ask them about the progress of collecting Dragon Balls." Zanya's pleasant voice rang out, "Yes, your Majesty." Then, Zanya began to send contact signals to the vanguard troops on Earth. But the result is unpredictable, there was no response. After a minute or two, Bojack's face sank. Several people looked at each other. 2 seconds later, Bojack said in a deep voice, "There are only 2 possibilities now. One is that these trash have ulterior motives and made a wish after collecting the Dragon Balls. The other is that they encountered a strong enemy on Earth and were wiped out. No matter which one it is, it makes me very unhappy." Zanya raised her big orange wave and asked, "King, what should we do now?" Bojack said coldly, "Speed up and rush to the Earth at full speed." "Yes, my king." Zanya responded, and then stood up and went to the control room of the spacecraft. With her operation, the speed of the spacecraft reached an incredible level. It rushed towards the Earth like crazy. Bojack said, I want to see who is ruining my good mood. It's really a fool who doesn't know how to live or die." Bido, who had been silent, rubbed his hands and said viciously, "The king is right. No matter who they are, we must make them pay. Torture them severely and kill them." He said with a bloodthirsty smile. After speeding up the spaceship, Zanya walked back to her original position. Bojack said again, "By the way, Zanya, how is the matter I asked you to investigate going? Who helped us to lift the seal?" "Report to the king. Now we only know that the dead one is the South King of the Southern Galaxy, but we haven't found out who killed him yet," Zanya responded. Bojack said, "Okay, keep investigating. He is our benefactor, I want to make him my subordinate." Chapter 27. The 5 galactic thugs continued to discuss. They imagined how they would slaughter the people on Earth, collect the Dragon Balls, and then realize their wishes to destroy the universe. Soon, a blue planet was projected onto the screen of the spacecraft. The Earth was finally here. "My lord, the Earth is ahead, shall we land?" Zanya asked. "Land!" Bojack commanded. "Yes, my king." Zanya controlled the spacecraft and began to descend toward Earth. On Earth, at the lookout, Gohan and Trunks stood at the edge of the lookout. Both of them stared at outer space with cold eyes. Suddenly, a spaceship appeared outside the atmosphere. Although it was far away, Gohan and Trunks could still see it vaguely. They could feel the 5 huge key signatures pouring down from the spaceship. Gohan narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Trunks, they are here. Prepare the reward." "Yes, brother Gohan." Boom! Puff, puff. The two of them turned into Super Saiyans in an instant. A huge momentum rose to the sky, and the golden flames surrounded them. The surging energy washed over most of the sky. The air around them was boiling. The entire lookout shook slightly. The blonde and green-eyed Gohan looked particularly cold, the corners of his clothes rustling in the wind, and his furry tail danced in the wind. He gathered his hands at his waist and began to condense the key attack. Came. As the first word was uttered, aqua-blue energy surged, and the dazzling light was like the sun hanging on the waist, brilliant and dazzling. The energy became stronger and stronger, making a buzzing sound. Seeing Gohan use Kamehameha, Trunks supported his palms on his head and condensed the Masenko. Compared with Kamehameha, Trunks is more proficient in the Masenko. When Gohan taught him, he learned it right away. Hi-ya! Masenko! The two men clapped their hands violently, and 2 devastating key attacks soared up and rushed toward the spacecraft that was breaking into the atmosphere. At the same time, on the spacecraft, several people were staring at the huge screen. Suddenly, they found that there were 2 flashes on the screen that were getting bigger and bigger. Seeing the flashes getting stronger and stronger, Bojack was puzzled and said, "What is that thing?" He never thought that someone would dare to attack their spacecraft. "This is Bujin, the magician with the most outstanding mental power among the 5, suddenly contracted his pupils." Then he shouted in shock, "Oh no, someone is attacking our spaceship." What? Several people found it shocking, and then they became furious. What's going on? They haven't even reached Earth yet. Are those bastards on Earth going to attack them without even giving them a warning? How audacious. Really audacious. Without waiting for Bojack's orders, Zanya ran to the control cabin of the spacecraft and tried to control the spacecraft to dodge the 2 energy attacks. "Bujin, hurry up, stop them and protect the spaceship." The spaceship swayed from side to side, and the people also swayed. Bujin used telekinesis to change the trajectory of the energy attacks. But he was shocked to find that his telekinesis had no effect at all. The 2 energy attacks were so powerful that they were beyond his expectations. "My king, this is bad, the opponent is stronger than me," Bujin said in shock. "Damn it! Didn't the scouts say that the Earth is a low-level planet? How could there be such strong people?" "What a bunch of rubbish," Bojack said angrily. At this time, Bojack finally knew that his vanguard troops did not embezzle the Dragon Balls but were killed by the Earthlings. It was absurd. But there was no time for them to think about it. The 5 of them simultaneously opened the energy shield. Boom! Boom! Although the spaceship kept dodging, the 2 energy beams still hit both sides of the spaceship. Their energy attacks seemed to be able to turn. Boom! The spaceship exploded and turned into a beautiful firework. Damn, the Earthlings deserve to die. 5 people rushed out of the explosion, cursing, and dived towards the Earth. But it was okay. They, the Hera, had the ability to survive temporarily in outer space, otherwise, they would have been killed in this attack. But they obviously underestimated the determination of Gohan and Trunks to kill them. The explosion was not over yet, and the overwhelming energy balls rose into the sky again. The wicked Earthlings attacked them again. It's absurd. It's really absurd. In all the years that Bojack and his companions have been roaming the galaxy, when have they ever suffered such injustice? The 5 of them kept dodging with the energy shield and continued to approach the Earth, but their speed was obviously much slower. Moreover, one of the 5 was injured, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Bojack bit his gums with hatred until they bled. At the lookout, Gohan and Trunks' auras soared into the sky, and their hands kept blasting out energy balls, bringing the essence of the tactics to the extreme. Attack! Attack them hard! Gohan laughed. Yeah! Trunks was also merciless and output with all his strength. He felt so happy in his heart. On this day, the ozone layer was holed, and the rumbling explosion made all the Earthlings tremble. The sky was full of flames, reflecting the earth red, as if the end of the world had come. In East City, Videl looked up at the sky. She guessed that this should be the result of the battle between Gohan and the aliens. The shock in her heart was beyond words. Gohan and Trunks output crazily, but the physical strength and energy consumed by such a large-scale intensive attack were also very high. Fortunately, there was Dend, a Namekian-shaped power bank behind them, who would cast a recovery spell and a healing spell from time to time, and the two of them immediately regained their strength. Bujin and Baido were both dead. Died under the intensive explosions. Koga was also seriously injured, his sword broke into several pieces, and his body was covered in blood. Zanya's face was pale, and one of her arms was gone, no longer as beautiful as before. Among the 5 people, only Bojack was relatively intact, but there was blood flowing from the corner of his mouth, and it was obvious that he had suffered a certain degree of injury. Seeing Bujin and Baido die, these people's eyes were about to burst, but there was nothing they could do. They only hated the Earthlings who attacked them. Bojack experienced the darkest moment of his life, having lost 2 friends before they even landed. He had never thought about such a thing before. Even if the 4 Kinkais joined forces, they only sealed them but did not really kill them. This time it was too outrageous. As time went on, Bojack's mentality became more and more irritable. However, the attack continued, and the other party seemed to have endless energy and wanted to kill them. Bojack's anger completely broke out. Ah! A long roar was heard. Bojack's shirt exploded, and his headscarf turned into powder in an instant. His already extremely tall body swelled again, and his long orange hair turned a dazzling bright red. His aura also enhanced, countless times stronger than before. Ah! He screamed again, and a huge energy shield appeared around his body, blocking most of the energy impact. Then, he raised his hands to the sky, and a dark red energy ball appeared, then fluttered in the wind, and soon turned into a sky curtain with amazing momentum. Earthlings, die! He roared and pressed his hands down in the air. The incredibly huge energy ball rushed toward the earth. The huge energy ball swallowed all the energy bombs fired by Trunks and Gohan and opened a path for the 3 of them. Zanya and Koga wiped the blood from the corners of their mouths, their eyes shining, and took the opportunity to speed up, breaking into the atmosphere and officially rushing into the range of the Earth. Bojack also moved forward with the energy ball, pressing towards the direction of Gohan and Trunks. Seeing that the energy ball was getting closer and closer to the lookout, Bojack showed a bloodthirsty smile at the corner of his mouth. "I'll let the Earth be buried with you 2 bastards, ha!" Humph, wishful thinking, Gohan snorted coldly, clenched his fists, and his aura changed dramatically in an instant. Full energy. In an instant, the sky changed color, and lightning struck from the sky. Trunks beside him and Den not far away looked at Gohan in shock. At this time, Gohan's aura was completely different from before, and he became extremely violent. "Trunks, go kill those 2 trash." "Yes, brother Gohan." Without any hesitation, Trunks soared into the sky and chased after Zanya and Kogu. Gohan stared at the dark red energy bomb that was getting closer and closer, put his hands together at his waist, and blasted out another powerful Kamehameha. The aqua-blue Kamehameha wave was like a giant dragon soaring into the sky, colliding fiercely with Bojack's dark red energy bomb. Boom! It seemed as if only 2 dazzling colors were left between heaven and earth. Chapter 28. 2 powerful ki attack were locked in a stalemate in the sky. The surrounding space constantly distorted, and there was a rumbling sound of violent collision. Bojack's forehead was bulging with veins, and his teeth were aching from biting. He let out a long roar, and the muscles in his hands twitched, increasing the energy output. As he increased the output, the dark red energy ball pressed down a few meters, and a hint of joy appeared on Bojack's face. Crack, crack, crack. In the lookout, the floor beneath Gohan's feet cracked and his feet sank. "There's a chance." Bojack's eyes lit up. The damn thing below seemed to be a little weaker than him. Damn it, then prepare to die. Bojack was ecstatic and kept pressing down on the energy ball, wanting to swallow up Gohan and the entire lookout in one fell swoop. Gohan retreated again and again, and a corner of the lookout was collapsed. Bojack was getting more and more excited. Victory was in sight. Suddenly, he seemed to hear Gohan on the opposite side talking to him. He don't know what method Gohan used to make the sound pass through such a noisy environment and accurately fall into his ears. Gohan said, "Bojack, are you happy?" 3 question marks appeared above Bojack's head. The bastard on the opposite side actually knew his name? And what did it mean to ask him if he was happy or not? It's true that he was a little happy now. Because the power of the bastard on the opposite side seemed to have been suppressed by him. Victory was in sight, how could he not be happy? Gohan's voice came again, haha. Look like I need to be serious now. Bojack was confused. What on earth was the guy doing? He was completely confused. Suddenly, Gohan's body changed. His muscles bulged high, and he instantly turned into the failed second form. The muscular form. In this form, he was leaking stamina, his speed dropped sharply, and he looked too jack. This is a mutant form with a power increase that is infinitely close to Super Saiyan 2. The power increase is enough to reach 80 or even 90 times that of the normal form. Extremely abnormal. Boom! Gohan's momentum soared, and he became even more violent. His energy soared, and the power of Kamehameha naturally increased and suddenly surged. Before Bojack could react, his dark red energy bomb was pushed back, leaving him completely powerless to resist. His power was completely crushed by Gohan. Bojack's mentality exploded instantly. He was really not prepared at all, and he didn't have thought that thing will happen like this. Ah! Seeing that his energy ball was about to backfire, Bojack screamed, bit his tongue, and forced himself to dodge to the side. Although he was very fast, he was still hit by 2 energy balls, cutting off several pieces of flesh and blood, and the pain was excruciating. Boom! Kamehameha waves and dark red death bombs rushed into the vast universe and then suddenly exploded. The strong light illuminated a small part of the northern Milky Way, and countless planets were destroyed in the explosion. A void vacuum formed at the center of the explosion. Bojack panted, not caring about the severe pain in his body, and looked at the Golden War god like Gohan with fear. This kid actually hid his strength? Too insidious, right? Who? Gohan also exhaled, and his muscles quickly contracted, turning back into his normal Super Saiyan form. Super Saiyan 1, full power form. He. Gohan looked at Bojack and grinned. The golden light on his body exploded again, and then he rushed up against the sky and rushed towards the embarrassed Bojack. Gohan's speed at this time can be said to be as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he came in front of Bojack, raised his right fist high, and smashed it with a sound of breaking through the air. Humph! Although Bojack felt a little scared, he still punched out. The 2 fists collided with each other, making a violent roar. The energy exploded between the fists, rippling out in circles, shattering countless clouds in the sky. Bang, bang, bang. The 2 men wrestled with each other madly, punching and kicking, and blood foam flew everywhere, and blood spilled into the sky. The 2 men were evenly matched in strength, and they fought fiercely for a while. Den and Popo, who were standing on the lookout, were terrified, their pupils contracted, and they took a breath of cold air. On the other side, Trunks had caught up with Zangya and Kogu, and the 3 of them also had a fierce battle. However, Zanya and Kogu were seriously injured themselves, and after several rounds, they were overwhelmed by Trunks. The injuries of the 2 became more and more serious, bleeding profusely, and were finally killed mercilessly by Trunks. The 5 members of the Galaxy Thugs are now only Bojack, the commander alone. On the other side, Bojack's battle with Gohan is still going on. Gohan is getting more and more excited, the more they fought. Bojack was more and more surprised. He found something strange about Gohan's body. For some reason, although Gohan did not turn into that muscular man again, his strength was getting stronger and stronger. And this bastard had the ability to heal himself. Obviously, every blow was a loss to both sides. It was a routine of hurting the enemy by 1,000 and hurting oneself by 800. But every time, he recovered as before after a while, which was simply outrageous. Once, Bojack remembered that he bit off a finger of Gohan. But soon he found that the finger of this bastard grew back again in a few breaths. Outrageous! It was too outrageous. How could he fight like this? Bojack's mentality was on the verge of collapse. He knew it in his heart. If he continued to fight, his strength would only get weaker and weaker, but his opponent would get stronger and stronger. As one strengthened while the other lessened, there was no doubt that he would die on Earth today. But Bojack was really unwilling to accept it. He really didn't want to die. He had survived the 1,000-year seal. Damn it! Trunks returned to his normal self, watching the battle from high in the sky. He thought it was going to be a great battle. But it turned out to be a crushing defeat. Poor Bojack was trembling with wounds all over his body, not even to trace his insidious reputation. At this moment, he was as cowardly. He had lost all his will to fight. On the other hand, Gohan became more and more courageous. He was roaring in his heart. It's almost there, it's almost there. Give me some more time, damn, give me some more time. I am about to make a breakthrough, and I must seize that opportunity for a breakthrough immediately. I now have sufficient foundation and am fully equipped for a breakthrough. I want a breakthrough. Aha! Gohan punched wildly, his eyes as cold as two ice knives. Suddenly, boom! Crack, crack, crack! Thunder roared above the sky, and electric snakes danced in the clouds. Lightning struck down one after another. Gohan punched Bojack and sent him flying. Then, a thick blue lightning bolt struck him. Fight, fierce battle. Roar! Gohan let out a long roar. He felt a shackle in his body break. At the same time, a flash of lightning flashed through his mind. Then, veins on Gohan's forehead suddenly appeared, and his muscles became stronger. The golden hair on his head stood upside down, and a thin fringe hung down in front of his forehead. His green eyes became even colder. Boom! Puff, puff. The golden flames around his body became stronger, and electric sparks kept jumping around his body, making a slight crackling sound. A black great ape was reflected in Gohan's pupils, and then an extremely powerful aura gushed out of his body. Blonde hair and green eyes, golden flames entangled, and electric sparks swirled. The terrifying aura was overwhelming, and all the dark clouds in the sky were blown away. Super Saiyan 2! Gohan glared at Bojack, and Bojack almost had his heart broken. Who are you? Bojack asked fearfully. He admitted that he had never seen anyone as scary as Gohan. He was terrified by the aura of this kind. The one who killed you. Gohan said coldly, and his figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. No, no. Bojack turned and ran. No, he can't die here, he don't want to die here, he want to escape, he want to leave here, he want to leave this terrible place. Now Bojack only had one thought in his mind, that is to escape. However, the disappeared Gohan suddenly appeared in front of him. And punched him directly. No, Bojack screamed, unable to avoid it, and was hit head-on by Gohan's fist. The next moment, a strong light burst out. Bojack's body disintegrated piece by piece, and finally dissipated into the air. Chapter 29. Everything was silent. The clouds were floating in the sky, the breeze was blowing, and the warm sunshine was shining. Everything had become the most peaceful. Gohan looked back at Trunks, Dend, and Mr. Popo, with a big smile on his face. Trunks and the others also recovered from the shock. Gohan's figure flashed, and the next moment he was standing on the square of the lookout. The three of them couldn't find out how he got here. The speed was already outrageous. Trunks trotted over, excitedly circled around Gohan, and said in surprise, "Brother Gohan, what a strong energy, it's amazing, what is this transformation?" Gohan said, "This is the transformation that exceeds the limit of Super Saiyan, let's call it Super Saiyan 2. So awesome. Trunks' eyes sparkled, and he wished he could become that strong. Gohan has always been his idol, and the figure he has always been chasing after. Gohan exhaled heavily, and the golden flames and lightning on his body disappeared at the same time. Although he was still in the form of Super Saiyan 2. But this form can minimize the consumption of physical strength and energy. And this is also the first time that Gohan has become a Super Saiyan 2. So Gohan wants to keep it longer, carefully experience the changes, so as to guide Trunks' future transformation. At this time, the voice of King Kai of the North sounded above the lookout. Awesome, really awesome, Gohan. I didn't expect that even Bojack couldn't match you. You are such an amazing fighter. Maybe you have surpassed Goku now. Gohan, I thank you on behalf of the other King Kais. This is a great help. You have done a great deed, the 4 galaxies thank you. Gohan said with a smile, King Kai, after saying so much, it would be better to give us some substantial rewards. That's right, so what do you want? Asked King Kai of the North. Gohan looked at Trunks and said, Trunks, is there anything you want? Me? I want a sword. Trunks said. He thought Koga looked really cool with a long sword on his back. Okay. Gohan said, King Kai, you should have heard it too, right? Trunks wants a sword. North King Kai said, sword? No problem, although I don't have one here, but I know where there is one. I can go to the great King Kai and find a good sword for you. Okay, thank you then. Gohan said. As for me, I want to ask King Kai what good things he can give me. I want to choose. Choose? Hello, what? Oh, sorry, Gohan, let's leave it like this for now, I have something to do, bye. King Kai looked hurried, and then cut off the connection. On the other side, King Kai took out a towel and wiped the sweat from his forehead, then drove a red car around King Kai's planet leisurely. Busy? He was busy as hell. Gohan didn't care, there would be plenty of opportunities in the future. But there was still a problem. After King Kai found the sword, how could he hand it over to him? But anyway, Bojack's crisis was finally resolved. This Bojack invasion ended with the Earth being almost intact. In the lookout, Gohan maintained the form of Super Saiyan 2 for half an hour, and then returned to his normal state. Then, he told Trunks about his feelings and experiences of transforming into Super Saiyan 2. Trunks benefited a lot from this. Through this battle with Bojack, Gohan also had a preliminary understanding of the benefits of immortality. That is the super benefit that comes with immortality, super self-healing ability and super recovery ability. The only person Gohan could think of who was as abnormal as Majin Buu. Although Namekians also have self-healing ability, it is still far behind. Thinking that the hyperbolic time chamber had not been used for half a year, Gohan simply went directly into the hyperbolic time chamber and made full use of the remaining time. Half a year was enough for him to consolidate and strengthen the form of Super Saiyan 2. Not only that, he also thought of several ways to develop the immortality to the extreme. For example, the immortal body plus the Saiyan's near-death recovery ability, when combined, is simply a boon, and it is against the will of heaven. Trunks naturally did not fall behind, and entered the hyperbolic time chamber with Gohan. The two learned from each other in it and practiced tirelessly. In this way, half a year in the hyperbolic time chamber passed again. When the time came, Gohan and Trunks pointed out the hyperbolic time chamber. It is worth mentioning that Trunks' tail has grown out in the past 6 months. Shaking his brand new tail, Trunks was very happy and said frankly that he would send a lot of delicious food to Dend. Gohan told him that Namekians don't need to eat, they can live by drinking water and photosynthesis. Trunks was shocked for a long time after hearing this. He couldn't imagine how there would be living being who don't like to eat. Obviously eating is the happiest experience. After the two came out, they found that it was already midnight. At this time, their clothes were tattered, and their hair had grown much longer, tied into ponytails. After saying hello to Dend and Mr. Popo, the two jumped down from the lookout and flew directly to the West City. When they got home, they found Bulma had fallen asleep on the sofa in the living room. Trunks found a blanket to cover Bulma. After that, the two took a hot bath, and then went back to the bedroom and fell asleep. The next day, the brothers were awakened by the smell of food. They woke up sniffing wildly, and then found that Bulma had prepared a whole table of delicious food waiting for them in the living room. Wow! Food! Meat! The two men's eyes were full of stars. They swallowed their saliva frantically, washed up in a hurry, and then sat down at the table. They had been in the hyperbolic time chamber for more than half a year, and they had been accompanied by bread every day. It had been a long time since they had a good meal. So now when they saw the food, the gluttons in their stomachs were ready to fight. "Thank you, Mom." Trunks swallowed his saliva and said, "Hee hee, Aunt Bulma is the best." Gohan also laughed. "You two stop talking and eat quickly," Bulma said with a smile. Looking at Gohan and Trunks, and thinking about the strange things on Earth yesterday, Bulma guessed something. Also, how come Trunks has grown a furry tail after just a few days of not seeing him? Bulma kept guessing and had many questions in her mind. "Then I'll start." Gohan put his hands together and said, "Eat, eat." Trunks, like him, clasped his hands together, thanking nature for the gift. The two of them devoured the food on the table. Bulma only ate a little, and the rest of the food went into the stomachs of Gohan and Trunks. It can only be said that they are worthy of being Saiyans, with a black hole in their stomachs. After the meal, Gohan took the initiative to talk about Bojack's story. Bulma felt as if she was there, and she was terrified and worried about Gohan and Trunks. Chapter 30. It was just as she guessed. Aliens invaded the Earth, and were successfully stopped by Gohan and Trunks. The Earth really survive again. Fortunately, Gohan and Trunks exist on the Earth, otherwise, who knows what terrible things would become. Thinking of the previous android disasters, Bulma felt scared. Then, Bulma asked about Trunks' tail. For Bulma, Saiyan with a tail are not good at all, and are very dangerous. He has seen Son Goku turn into an irrational black-haired gorilla with his own eyes. Therefore, it is inevitable that she has some rejection. But even so, she couldn't stand Trunks' soft and hard persuasion, and finally had to accept the fact that her son had a tail. After cleaning up the dishes, Bulma trimmed the hair of Gohan and Trunks. A morning passed like this. In the afternoon, Videl drove a jet to the capsule core. Trunks, who opened the door for her, was stunned when he saw Videl. "Excuse me, who are you looking for?" Trunks asked. Today, Videl wore a loose sportswear, which made her look simple. She only had light makeup on her face, and her eyelashes were fluttering. She was dressed like a typical next-door neighbor. But Trunks was sure that he had never seen this beautiful sister. Videl looked at Trunks and said politely, "Hello, I'm looking for Gohan-kun." "Brother Gohan? You are Brother Gohan's friend, then I will take you to find him," Trunks said. "Trouble," Videl said. "No problem, come with me, sister," Trunks said, leading the way for Videl. "Okay." Videl walked behind and looked at Trunks' wagging tail. She couldn't help but ask, "Are you Gohan's younger brother?" Trunks smiled and said, "Yes, we are half-brothers." "Ah?" Videl was stunned. "Half-brother? What does that mean?" Trunks continued, "Brother Gohan grew up with me. He is my brother and also my teacher. He is very kind to me." Videl suddenly realized and said, "So that's it. You are the young master of the capsule group, right? I know your mother. Your mother is a very influential person." "Eh? Young master is really too much. My name is Trunks." "Sister, please call me Trunks," Trunks said. "Okay, Trunks. What's your name, sister?" "My name is Videl." The two talked all the way, and Trunks brought Videl to Gohan's room. At this time, Gohan was looking through some of Bulma's notes. He found that he had a talent for becoming a scientist. Because he could actually understand some simple knowledge. Sure enough, is he still suitable to be a scholar? Exploring the infinite field of science is also a very interesting thing. Ah, no, no. Gohan quickly got rid of this terrible idea. Forget about becoming a scholar, this idea is simply too terrible. Reading can't save the Dragon Ball world. Ha! Someone is coming. Gohan looked up and saw Trunks walking into his room with Videl. Brother Gohan, the sister is looking for you. Trunks said. Yeah, okay. Gohan nodded. Trunks looked at Gohan meaningfully, then looked at Videl, as if to say, I understand. Then he left in a hurry. Gohan-kun. Videl smiled and said, It's great to see you again. Standing in front of you is Gohan. Low-key hero. Saving the Earth. Gohan-kun. Until now, Videl firmly believes that there are probably no more than 5 people who know what happened yesterday. As far as she knows, the man in front of her has saved the Earth several times. It really fits the old saying. There is no such thing as a peaceful life, it's just that someone is carrying the burden for us. It's very irritating, but very appropriate. Gohan smiled and said, come with me, I will tell you more about the flying technique. The two left the room and found a quiet place. Gohan continued to explain Bokujutsu to Videl. Videl listened carefully and asked Gohan if she didn't understand something. 2.5 hours later, Videl said goodbye and left. Before leaving, Gohan told her that she could practice on her own in the future, and there was no need to travel all the way to Capsule Corps. After all, he had taught everything he could, and the next step was just to take time to practice. But Gohan didn't expect that Videl would come again at the same time the next day. On the 3rd day, until the 4th day, Videl finally sensed the existence of Ki. A breeze appeared around her, blowing up the corners of her clothes, and her long hair was also gently fluttering. Then, Videl's feet were floating 20 centimeters off the ground, but not long after, she returned to the ground panting. It was just because her current Ki was too weak to support her for too long. Videl was not discouraged, but very excited. Because she saw a magical door slowly opening in front of her, and inside was a colorful and wonderful world. It was night. The full moon was hanging high in the sky. Today was the day of the full moon. Paozo Mountain. Gohan walked out of the room and walked to an open grassland. He looked carefully at the silver moonlight on the ground, made up his mind, and then looked up at the moon in the sky. When he saw the full moon, Gohan's pupils dilated rapidly, and then the whole person froze instantly. Boom! Boom! His heart was beating like crazy, as if it had been electrocuted. The sound was dull and getting louder. Boom, boom, boom. In just a few seconds, the heartbeat sounded like a drum. Gohan clenched his fists tightly, as if an ancient beast had awakened in his heart. This beast was bloodthirsty, crazy, irritable, and angry. All kinds of negative emotions kept washing over his body. At this moment, Gohan felt that what was flowing in his veins was no longer blood, but his anger and violent animal nature. Ah! A strong roar came out of his mouth. All the beasts on Paozo Mountain who heard his voice crawled on the ground and trembled. The birds in the forest flew away in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. The heartbeats became faster and more frequent. Gohan's face began to become hideous, and then deformed. The veins on his arms bulged, and the clothes on his body were also bursting. Gohan's whole body expanded rapidly, and in just a moment, thick black fur covered his entire body. Soon, Gohan turned into a black great ape. This great ape was 25 meters tall and covered with black fur. His 2 blood-red eyes as big as lanterns continued to emit terrifying murderous light, and an extremely tyrannical aura emanated from him. The great ape lowered his head, looked at the 2 huge palms, and then walked to the nearby river. He looked at his reflection in the river, and then uttered in human language, "This thing is so fucking ugly." The voice was buzzing, with some recognizable speech, but more of an angry emotion. But since he could speak, it also showed that Gohan retained his sanity after the great ape transformation, and did not turn into a crazy great ape. In fact, Gohan himself did not expect that he could be so sober. It was a huge difference from the crazy great ape he imagined. But he soon understood. This was the result of the perfect fusion of the two souls in his body. A local soul, plus a soul from another world. After the perfect fusion of the two souls, not only did Gohan's comprehension greatly improve, but his mental and soul power also underwent earth-shaking changes. Its strength was even dozens of times that of before. So it was able to keep Gohan sober and rational enough after the great ape transformation. That wraps up this part of What If Reborn is Gohan in future timeline. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.